Well, in the 1980s, the late 1980s, I made a pledge and a promise to all the people who had seen work of Hollywood Art Brothers that we're planning to improve the quality of the films that we've been making. We just moved up, as promised, to video. We've been working in the film area for about 10 years, and we just moved into video, which is a new format for us. Produces a fine quality picture, and the end result is better. Also, we're really kind of twisting the arm now for better actors and actresses to come out and audition and to do work for us. Our production stories are improving. We're dealing more with themes or social issues and various topics and so forth. Technically we're improving. Our actors and actresses are getting better, and I think our stories are getting better. Living Behind Walls is my first product of the 1990s, and it deals with the social problems of the 1990s. It deals with homelessness, poverty, suicide, and despair. It deals with teenage pregnancy, a lot of the problems that young people are going through, and families. And also I wanted to do something about families, because socially I believe the problems that are existing stem from the family. So I wanted to make a film that would give people some hope to believe in a family again. And one of the things that we're trying to do with this particular film, Living Behind Walls, is to address the issue of women. We're trying to put women in the forefront rather than in the background. We're trying not to show women as sex objects. We're trying to show women in a positive light and showing the realities that women have to go through. And men, and youngsters, and all ages. Basically the whole nucleus of the family. Sociologically speaking, in every way possible, we're putting a lot into Living Behind Walls, and I think it's going to be a fantastic film.
Learned what Jerome was about, and I could really relate to him. Like, everybody has that type of thing in their personality that just makes them, you know, just something that just irks you, you know? It just irks you, and, you know, it's best portrayed, you know, and brought out. It just comes from the soul. That's all I could explain it as. Well, most kids nowadays, you try to tell them something, they'll just go right over their head and everything like that, but it'll probably just touch a nerve, and hopefully it'll get deep inside their soul just enough, you know, to bring out the good quality in them.
And I think that people looking at this can see that, okay, these are issues that are definitely real, that they need to be addressed, they need to be solved, and I think that this film is a way of saying, okay, this is what exists, this is what we're doing in the film that we see as a way to solve it. So I think in that way the film is doing that. It's giving some realistic, it's giving a realistic portrayal of the real world, and in doing so it's showing people that this is what happens in the real world. This is how people deal with certain things that happen in the real world, and this is how they solve them. So I think in that aspect it's very good.
Solutions to family conflicts that we have in everyday life. And the solutions basically are positive solutions. So it doesn't just present a question, but also gives an answer to such problems. Von Garrett is a spiritual man, a very positive father role, who he happens to have a problem with his son, Jerome. Jerome is basically a street kid who's everything that his father never was. And what the father tries to do is turn his son around, to see the light, at the end of the tunnel. And there's a bit of a conflict between the father and the mother in regard to the son, because the mother has more of a soft approach, where the father really feels that he should take the bull by the horns and try and control this boy onto a positive one.
Script, you write, jot things down about the character that you think would work for her. You know, the age, the family, the relationships, where she lives, what kind of things she does during the day, you know, that kind of thing. Well, I first worked with Tony. Tony Tony likes to write and get the movie done, and I think he has a scene in mind. He sits you down, he tells you what he thinks the scene should look like, then you kind of do the scene. You're a little freer to kind of do what you want to do. Well, Ron, the guy at the camera, is a lot more specific, and he is no, do this, don't do that, no, do this, don't do that. Now look at your watch here. And at that point, look up. He's a lot more detailed in his direction than Tony is. Even in the detailed direction, we still had a chance to give a few suggestions. But either way, it's fine, as long as you're giving the director, the writer, what he's looking for. So that's not a problem.
Behind the scenes, in my opinion, is the most important aspect because you're actually dealing with the art itself. Because there's more to the art of filmmaking than the acting itself. You know, all the art entails, which is trying to create the greatest quality or level of expression in that film as
an essential man of the 50s, I guess 60s, who was afraid to show a tender side of himself, although he did have that tender side. But so often men are taught not to cry, not to show their emotions, and have to be strong. And this is what's happening. Of course, my character has a premature ending to his life. He's dying of cancer, has to leave an 8-year-old daughter and a beautiful wife behind. And he was very strong on family and from where we came, from the origins. And he really wanted to instill that upon his daughter, to let her know about her history and where she came from, and not to lose sight of where she's going. Just before his demise in the movie, in the film, the last thing he said to his wife was to make sure you teach the daughter about the symbolism of the necklace and where it came from, and so she would carry it on. She's the 7th generation, and he wants it passed on to the 8th and keep on going. So I think he's a very strong man, a very positive and loving father, and a caring husband, and he wants to make sure his family is all right. At the end, he says that his insurance is paid up, so it won't be a burden. His death wouldn't be a burden on them. The notes for the house is paid. What other notes and stocks, everything he has was in the vault, so he left them with something. If not money, he left them with a sense of pride and respect for themselves and who they are and where they came from.
As an individual, I've grown to admire her in a lot of ways, and I just would like to say that about Mr. Strutter's character. Living behind walls, I believe it's going to be a hit success, and I think they're going to want to see more of it.
It's at Hollywood Art Brothers that I'm grateful that you are making films that depict the black man and the black woman in a positive light. As you know, there is that old saying, life imitate art and art imitate life. So whether you choose to portray a character that is from the slum or the ghetto, then I think that that is real life, and I think that people should see it. On the other hand, if you choose to show a character that is rich and wealthy and be that person black, then show it, because I think that the public need to see the characters that you produce.
Ms. Dutton is not an exemplary mother, but I think it's good for people to see these real people. I think audience members can see what is wrong with her, and hopefully try not to develop those qualities in their own personalities. I think that for such a young man, you write very good women. And it's interesting because a lot of the filmmakers today seem to only be able to write one-dimensional women, and they're usually not above 25. And they're apparently that is what they know. You see, I don't find that very interesting.
But Ron is real cool, man. He put up with our clowning. We did a lot of clowning on the set. People see a camera, they just got to get into it, smiling all in the camera and crap.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of outside noise.
And we trying to make a movie.
People just want to stop and be heard, and you know, there's a lot of people just looking back in the scenes, doing stupidness, you know.
But they make you feel like stars, though.
Yeah, they don't even know what they're going to be in.
They probably think we flew in from Hollywood last night.
Behind walls, actually. It's been a fantastic project. I've met a lot of great people. I've worked with some fantastic people I want to work with again. I think that was probably the greatest part of it all. And one of the things I enjoyed so much about it is that I didn't have to change my script. A lot of times I have to rewrite and do so many rewrites. This film, I didn't have to do very many rewrites. Actually, I added scenes. We have to make a lot of modification adjustments sometimes. In this film, I didn't have to do that. I was able to keep everything. I got my way with a lot of it. And it put me in a perspective to do things like I wanted to. I had a lot more creative control, a lot more freedom to do things.